It's the Radio Archive here. Looks like we might have something going on here. Trying to figure out some details. Just got on the live chase here, so stick with us. We'll get some more details in just a second. Yeah, so currently right now, no details on this chase. It just started about 5 minutes ago, and I jumped on the live stream here from Sky Fox, trying to get some more details. And it looks like we are on the 101 freeway. I got some details here. Let's go ahead and see here. Looks like it's a fleeing driver in the Hollywood area. Started at about 9:15, so we're about 5 minutes into the pursuit right now. 101 freeway north of Hollywood going on. Live pursuit. Getting more details for you in just a second. And we'll try and join one of the live news chopper streams, their live audio feed, just a second here.
Come on and turn your back on me.
California has finally taken over the pursuit. And so
here's KTLA. Let's go and join their live audio feed.
Options. One of those is a pit maneuver. Another is the use of spike strips, or just waiting out the car to see if it runs out of gas. Still going about 80 miles an hour here southbound 101 through, or just about the 2 freeway now, coming up here shortly. And you see that night sun from the air unit overhead, Police 18 overhead, and then that California Highway Patrol taking over on the ground from the LAPD. Great thing about the Highway Patrol is they have the ability to, as I describe it, leapfrog from one of their divisions to another as they make their way through the Southland. So they always have a fresh pair of eyes, full tank of gas on this pursuit, so they will outrun this car, and it'll die before they do, or they have to step away, that's for sure. But this red compact Chevy SUV you see here, making our way southbound 70 miles an hour, wanted for reckless DUI, reckless driving under the influence, here coming into now the downtown area of Los Angeles. They talk a lot. Turn on those flashers, probably trying to get slower moving vehicles out of the way. Those cars are moving at typical freeway speeds, about 55, 60 miles an hour right here on the 101. That's the speed limit. And this driver's kind of jetting along at about 70. So that's why you're seeing him pass them so quickly. Holding that number 3 lane, we'll see if he decides to get off. This is kind of the area where he got on the freeway originally, so we'll have to see what happens as we continue southbound 101, coming up on Benton Way. Kind of psyching out the officers there, almost looking like he was gonna get off the freeway, but still continuing southbound in that number 3 lane. I'll just pull out and show you the full pursuit package. You have 2 units, and then you have probably an LAPD unit farther behind. Typically a pursuit package is 3 police units on the ground. However, they might be having a little struggle getting another unit in this. But we just saw that driver reaching out the window again. Pretty erratic movements from inside the vehicle, sticking his hands out the window, taking his clothes off and sticking those in the sunroof. You see how the sunroof is kind of wedged closed. It looks like to be a jacket or something sticking out of it right now. Arms moving around inside that vehicle as we continue southbound 101. Coming up on, let's see, Union Avenue, Glendale Boulevard, and we're jumping across the freeway, getting off. Hard turn here, slowing down, and now we are getting off on, let's see, Los Angeles Street. This is going to be Union Avenue, and now we're continuing here, southbound, and turning to the, let's see, north. Yes, we're turning to the north on Temple from Dawson here. Now this puts it back into, wow, just right around that turn. This puts it back into the LAPD area. It's here, going about 60 miles an hour here. And making our way southbound on Glendale. See what's stop traffic ahead. Luckily no traffic in that intersection. Going under the freeway here, we'll see what happens as we continue here on, I believe this is going to be 2nd Street now. The light's on inside that car, so we'll try to see inside. Oh, the window just went back up, the light off again. But we're still continuing southbound on 2nd Street, going through Boylston. About 50 miles an hour here on this surface street. Eastbound Beverly now. And we're going into a tunnel. We'll have to catch it on the other side. So he's under that shopping complex there. The air unit's having some struggles seeing the suspect vehicle as well, but they are bringing ground units into the area to attempt to locate it underneath this complex of buildings here at Hope and First. Eastbound 2nd Street continuing here. We'll try to catch up with them. Southbound Broadway, here we go. Came out the other end of that tunnel. Now we are going southbound Broadway from 2nd Street. And apologize for the steep angle. That'll be fixed here shortly. Really tough here in the downtown area to kind of avoid all the buildings and get a good shot of the vehicle as we're working through the high rises. Kind of 1 o'clock. Yeah. We can kind of like choose north, south, or east, west if it's easier. Yeah. Southbound Broadway at 4th Street. First time we've seen the suspect stop for a red light, and now it looks like we're going to be going, let's see, westbound on 4th Street. Slowed down quite a bit. Part of that could be because there are no ground units behind it, but we still have that air unit using their night sun overhead. And we're going to turn around, going right way now on this one-way street on 4th Street, coming back up to Broadway. And there we go, off again. Saw a black and white in its back mirror, and now we're racing off again here on northbound Broadway. We're going to try to see inside that vehicle again. You see suspect throwing stuff out of the car right now. And it looks like just the driver in the vehicle right now. So this begs the question of what's going on in the vehicle? What's the mindset of this driver? Are they in sorts of distress? Is it just intoxication? Trying to figure out. Some of the dispatchers that are working on this, wow, just flying through that intersection there. The dispatchers that are working this are not only attempting to keep tabs on what's happening, but also they're doing research on that vehicle. They have the information on the license plate. They can see if the owner's in the vehicle, we'll try to call the owner, see if the owner's not, who they lent the car to, all things that they're working on back at the communication center. But now we are northbound on Hill, kind of up near, let's see what the suspect does here. Still northbound Hill through Temple, so coming back up to the 101 freeway. And there's the 101 right under there. And now we are still working up northbound. This is going to be in the area of Union Station, area up here, but slowed down quite a bit late since we got off the freeway. Instead of 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, now we're down to the 30s, but suspect's still throwing stuff out of that sunroof and out of the window. Looks like papers and things like that, just blowing through these intersections. Luckily, a lot of green lights and not a lot of people on the road this time of night here in downtown. Go ahead. And California Highway Patrol has backed out of this pursuit. The LAPD has taken back over. Their central division for downtown LA has taken over this pursuit, as this is their area. And we're continuing northbound here on Hill Street, approaching Cottage Home Street. You can see that unit right behind. And now we are going northbound 110 and speeding right back up here as we get back on the freeway, up to about 70 miles an hour. The suspect pretty much telling the officers, I'm not giving up anytime soon. Those officers right on his tail saying just the opposite. Well, we're not going to give up on you either. And we're going to go through this tunnel. We'll catch this on the other side. And the California Highway Patrol is going to attempt to retake over this pursuit, as this is now their jurisdiction once again. And once we get out of this tunnel area, we'll zoom back in. Going into tracking mode now, still 110 northbound. Coming up at about Academy Road, Avenue 19 is going to be one of the near off ramps. And if the suspect continues up here, we're going to be going through the last part of the north part of Los Angeles right here, and make our way into the city of Pasadena here shortly. 60 miles an hour, 110 northbound at about Pasadena. Avenue 43 is the next exit that's going to be coming up. Still about 60 miles an hour northbound 110, coming up to Avenue 43 still. Quite a different driving technique than we saw earlier at those high rates of speed, kind of weaving between cars and running intersections. Now we're going with the flow of traffic up to about 72 miles an hour. And now jumping into that center divider, trying to avoid these wow. Running into that shoulder there, kind of lost a little bit of control, got a little wiggle going. We see that suspect still waving stuff out the windows. Almost didn't see that turn, kind of jolted at the last second. It was just continuing northbound 110 up to Avenue 43. Into that center divider again. It looks like we're going to be getting off here on Avenue 52 from the 110 freeway, hard on the brakes. We'll see what happens here as we get off the freeway. Avenue 52 going northbound. You see the units that went right past it under the overpass there. And now we're going northbound Avenue 52 through Longfellow Street. Even though there aren't units on the ground, there are plenty in the air. And both the CHP and the LAPD have an air unit over this, and they are calling this out to their ground units to try to get them onto this pursuit. Northbound Avenue 52, approaching Figueroa now, about 25 miles an hour onto the brakes, and now we're going to be turning eastbound on Figueroa. Just going down that middle line there, and on the brakes, coming up to this red light, and we're going to wait for the red light. That's kind of a first for this pursuit. They're going to pass the vehicle right there. Wow. Wow, just cutting off that unit there. And the pursuit's back on. Central Division of LAPD has taken the pursuit back over. This is the Northeast Territory, but you can see that unit just noticed that this is the suspect vehicle, and it kind of spooked that suspect. And here we go again. And we're on Avenue 54, Avenue 55 actually, coming up on Ash Street. Coming up on Aldama from 55th Street. Driver sticking his hands and his head out the window, not focusing on the road, and see him kind of jerking around as he tries to compensate for that lack of focus. Let's see, holding up a piece of paper, trying to maybe show the officer something. Again, if you're just joining us on KTLA.com or our Facebook page, I'm Colton Lundpertson, Sky 5. We're following a pursuit of a reckless DUI driver driving under the influence. Started about 30 minutes ago now in the northeast area of... Thank you. I thought I heard both. Thank you. And a correction from our assignment desk, them doing their great research. This is actually just a reckless driver, no DUI that they have heard from the LAPD directly. And that would kind of align with what we're seeing here, very reckless movements and an erratic behavior inside that vehicle. A window back up, it was down for a second there. They're trying to show something to the officers probably. And now we're back here at a red light, running that red light. And now we're going to be going southbound, westbound on York from Avenue 57. You see that air unit, Air 18 overhead, calling the pursuit for those ground units. Wow. Just weaving through lanes into that center divider, almost hitting a car. And And even after those ground units backing off once again, taking off their lights and sirens, still driving erratically, and here we are turning again. So one of the things they could do on these side streets is a pit maneuver, and it looks like we're going to see one of those right now. Actually, a suspect hard on his brakes, almost that unit overshooting him, and that's something we don't want to see in a pit maneuver. So now we're back on the gas, about 40 miles an hour here on this residential street. Very, very dangerous as people might be out walking their dogs. Sparks flying as they go through that dip. And now we are northbound on Lincoln Avenue, coming up on Avenue 49, turning on Avenue 49. See LAPD saying, we're right here, we're going to end this. And they are right on his tail. Now that tactic didn't really work right now, so they're going to go back to the drawing boards for a second. They're going to take a step back from the pursuit. And this vehicle is going to be going now on Avenue 50 from Baltimore here. And stopping at that light. Southbound Avenue 50 from Baltimore. Now at this point, the LAPD has discontinued their pursuit of this reckless driver and have stepped away from the situation. We'll have to see if another agency takes it over, but right now we're still continuing southbound Avenue 50, coming up on El Paseo Drive here in Los Angeles. You can see possibly one or two units still in the area, just keeping an eye on the suspect vehicle. But this is no longer a pursuit by the LAPD. They've backed out, and what they can hope is if they know where the license plate goes back to, is that they can maybe find the vehicle later on and do their investigation after the fact. This is Clayland Avenue at Jessica Drive here. Going about 25 miles an hour, just making its way through this neighborhood. Now this is the Northeast Division of LAPD. This is where this pursuit began. So we're unsure if maybe this driver is familiar with the area. Maybe this is their neighborhood, but they do seem to be somewhat familiar with the streets and which ones go through and which ones don't. Which a lot of them up here in this kind of hilly area end up being dead ends and stuff for small little communities. Through that stop sign there. Southbound Jessica Drive through Ben's Drive. This area is kind of wooded, has some trees, and has a bunch of terrain, so it's going to be a little tough for us to see it, but the suspect will pop out here shortly here at Division Street and Jessica Drive. And we're going to go, let's see, southbound Division Street from Jessica Drive. Through that stop sign again. Still no regard for the rules of the road or the signage. It's a little strange, being that there are no units in this pursuit any longer. You think the driver would go back to driving normally, however that doesn't seem to be the case. Still arms out the window with absolutely no LAPD. Well, there is one unit behind it, but we'll see what they're doing. The suspect waiting for that traffic signal to change. There's no pursuit going on, but there's still 4 units behind the vehicle, just following, seeing where it goes. Now we're sitting at San Fernando Road and Division Street. We saw those LAPD units sitting behind the vehicle. They're following to see where it goes. They're not in pursuit any longer. That suspect in there still being very erratic. Almost looked like he changed his clothes again. Windows up and down, that sunroof open and closed. Just waiting for that traffic light to change, just like that silver car to its right. A very long light here at San Fernando and Division. Northbound San Fernando from Division Street. There's another pursuit in 77th, I guess. You want us to go? It's going northbound San Fernando. Probably like 5 or less minutes. But if it's, it's over or whatever and we try to come back, we'll lose this car. Okay, which CHP would it be? Altadena up here? I had to switch scanners though. Yeah, the Metro pursuit's over. It looks like the California Highway Patrol is going to be taking over the pursuit. Once again, their air unit overhead, and you can see that night sun faintly there, but they are bringing their ground units into the area where eastbound 134 coming up on Figueroa Street. This is going to work our way into through Eagle Rock and into Pasadena as we continue here eastbound on the 134. Looks like we're getting off. This will be Figueroa Street. Let's see what the suspect does here. And they do have a ground unit in the pursuit now. You can see that Tahoe there. One of their newer vehicles that they're using here at the California Highway Patrol. Suspect looks like they're waving a shirt or something outside of the vehicle. And left turn. And we're speeding off again. 40, 50 miles an hour here on Figueroa, going northbound under the 134 freeway. Jumping in that median, you see that car getting out of the way. And it looks like we're going into a parking lot here. We'll see what happens. Wow, right into the door. Pit maneuver, hands up, feet up, out of the vehicle. Suspect jumping in the back seat. Officers are going to be breaking into those windows, trying to get that suspect out. We'll see what happens here. And it looks like they are making contact with that suspect now. One officer has one of the suspect's hands, or both their hands, and they're going to pull him out of that back window on the passenger side. All right. Yep. It looks like we do have the driver out of the vehicle. Copy. Mike, a share. This pursuit's been going on since about 9 o'clock, so for over an hour now. LAPD was in pursuit of a reckless driver going wrong way on the streets. They started that pursuit. The suspect tried to stop, but then drove off again. It's been on the freeways and surface streets ever since. LAPD finally backing out, but the California Highway Patrol taking over. And just a few moments ago, the suspect got off the 134 at about Figueroa. Now you can see we're at Colorado and Glengarry Road here in the area of Los Angeles. We're going to show you some video from earlier, some of the erratic driving from this pursuit. But just moments ago, the suspect pulled into this parking lot, and the CHP used one of their cruisers to attempt a pit maneuver and ended up just pinning the vehicle. The suspect attempting to get away through the back door, but the California Highway Patrol officers broke that back window and took that male suspect into custody here at this intersection. A very dangerous and wild pursuit across the Los Angeles area is finally over here in the Eagle Rock area. That's the latest overhead. I'm Colton Von Pertzen, Sky 5. I'll send it back down to you. And for those who are still online with us, I'm Colton Von Pertzen, Sky 5. Successful termination to this pursuit here off of Colorado and Glengarry Road in the kind of Eagle Rock area of Los Angeles, just before we get into Pasadena. CHP doing a successful pit maneuver, and that suspect making quite the movements to try to get away from them, sticking his legs up out of the window of that sunroof. But the Highway Patrol officers did make contact and peacefully arrest the suspect with no further incident. Suspect didn't have a mask on, so they provided him one of those as well. So a successful end to a pursuit here in the Southland. There goes the car rolling away into a curb, luckily. That CHP officer trying to stop the vehicle, jumping in the front window there to throw it out of gear. Go ahead, Matt. I guess you don't think about that when a car stops, that it could be in gear still, you know?